Mr. Zeldin, the first question will be for you. You've spoken a lot about the need to secure our nation's borders. How can we secure our borders? What steps can be taken to do so? And very importantly, how much will it cost and how do we pay for it? Please be specific.
So we have all read the stories of the unaccompanied immigrant children surging across our southern border. There is definitely a clear difference of opinion between my opponent and I as to what to do about it. I believe that we need to detain these children humanely and expeditiously reunite them with their parents back home. We are sending a message right now to parents in Central and Southern American countries that if they turn their kids over to coyotes, and once they get here to America, that they will be granted amnesty. This is the wrong message to be sending. They should not even be turning over their kids in the first place for this dangerous mission where they're suffering from emotional and physical abuse on the way. I have a tremendous amount of compassion for every child in this entire world who's suffering from oppression and poverty. But we do not have the bandwidth as a nation to open up our borders to let anyone come here. We don't have the bandwidth to do it despite all of our compassion. This is a great sign of all the dysfunction that's in Washington. In July, the president issued his proposal. The Senate Democrats had their proposal. The House Republicans put out their proposal. And then they all went back to campaign in August. The president went to Martha's Vineyard. Congress went to campaign. And then they all come back in September. Now, a functional Congress would be passing a compromise legislation. Whether it is the need, obviously, to have the resources for our Border Patrol agents to get off babysitting duty and actually do the job that they are trained to do, to have improved technology at our borders so that the judges across this country with the ability to help reduce the backlog can contribute from all across America. We need to change our policy that is sending that message. It was a presidential executive order and statements that have sent a clear message that once you come here that you will be able to stay. The cost could be anywhere between $600 million or so if you're looking at some of the proposals coming out of the House, $2.5 billion if you're looking at the proposal coming out of the Senate, about $3.5 billion if you look at the proposal that's coming out of the White House. So that compromise could be anywhere between those three. Now, I believe that you can be liberal, moderate, or conservative and be reasonable and rational. Republicans and Democrats, when they share power, have to be willing to sit down at a table to try to find common ground to move our nation forward. There isn't any one solution to be able to better secure our borders. I am all for legal immigration, but we do not have the ability here on Long Island for all of these children to be coming into our schools, especially without their parents. And the need to provide them health care and other incentives in order to sustain themselves.
Thank you.
So I think that we should look at the proposal that came out of the House, but I'm certainly willing to approach it with an open mind with all parties.
Again, folks, I would ask that you please refrain from calling out when one of the candidates is speaking. Thank you. Mr. Bishop, you have 2 minutes to respond.
First off, I understood the question to be more broadly phrased than the issue of the immigrant children, the refugee children at the border. Let me talk about what we have done to secure our border in the 12 years that I've been in Congress. We have doubled the number of border protection agents. We have doubled the budget for customs and immigration enforcement. We have built several hundred miles of fence. We've spent billions in providing technological means of monitoring the border, and we have succeeded in reducing the number of people who try to gain entry illegally. We've gone from about 1.5 million people per year who try to gain entry illegally to about 500,000. That's real progress. We obviously have a ways to go, and we have to keep working at it. But I hear my opponent talk about how members of Congress should be willing to get together, sit down, and compromise. That's exactly what's happened on immigration reform in the Senate. 4 Republicans and 4 Democrats wrote an immigration reform bill. It passed the Senate with 68 votes, and my opponent says he would vote against it. So if he's such a big fan of compromise, and we had 4 Republicans and 4 Democrats compromise, and then 68 Republicans and Democrats joined in that compromise to pass it, I don't think we need empty rhetoric. What we need is someone who really is going to engage and try to solve a problem and not stick to some ideological position that makes the problem unsolvable. With respect to what happened at the end of July, what happened at the end of July was an unqualified or an absolute embarrassment for the Congress. The Senate walked off the field. The House walked off the field. The House passed a bill purely for optical reasons of $400 and some million. It didn't come close to dealing with any part of the issue of the refugee children at the border. We do need to sit down, we do need to solve it, but we have to do it in a way that avoids the political posture.
I understood the question, and the debate in July was a border security bill. The President put out his plan for border security, the Senate put out their plan, and the House put out their plan. I perfectly understood the question. The last debate that we were at, the incumbent referred to the Senate bill as the only way. So to lecture people who are not in favor of the Senate bill and say that we have a need to compromise, this is exactly what's wrong with Washington. The only version of compromise for so many, including the President, is for them to get it 100% their way all of the time. And you have Republicans in Congress. Their only version of compromise is for them to get it 100% their way all the time, in both parties. So coming here and lecturing me as far as not understanding the question and not being on board with your proposal as the only way, it contradicts itself. And you know what? I'm not here to blame Republicans or Democrats. There's plenty of blame to go around to all of them. And that's not why we're running for office.